for the moment. Of course, those guys well, had a whole bunch of fun at Spa. That's probably the best way I can describe it. Just over 5 minutes gone in the race, just under 15 left to go. Of course, Team Almady cars still stuck a little bit in these positions just inside of the top 10. We're still scoring decent points. Whether or not it'll be enough to be able to surpass the tally that Team Shmee is getting in this race still remains to be seen. Of course, we're not able to track the live points here in this situation, so it does get a little bit tricky to see what the overall picture is, especially since we do not have easy team identifiers on the left-hand side just yet either. Of course, hopefully we'll be able to get something to help with that in the not too distant future. But 14 minutes left to go on the way down in towards turn number 1 once again. And well, Isaac Price stuck in a little bit of a Team Malmedie bread sandwich here. He's got Malmedie car ahead, Malmedie car behind, so certainly can't be complacent at this stage. Imre Xian's been having a kind of a look here and there as well. Back through the order, you've got yet more close running. I'm not saying close battling just yet because we haven't seen side by side for a lap and a half or so. Usually we'd be quite optimistic about that, but with how close and how much fun these guys have been having, then not going side by side for a lap and a half is actually a strange occurrence. But these guys on the bottom end of the top 10 here, Lucas Müller, Christopher Högfeld, Alexander Dorneden, all involved in this one. Dorneden in the Bentley there, you can see in the background, looking to try and lock on to the back of this train. But it does seem like there's been a little bit of separation between your podium runners and the rest of the pack. I'll call it the peloton if you're a fan of cycling, road racing cycling. But Marco Pajic right now having to go defensive on Isaac Price through the left-hander. Price got a very good run coming off the top of the Michael Schumacher S's, and now coming down the hill towards Hatzenbach. Price might still have a run here. He's much closer, getting himself the slipstream off of the German ahead of him. Let's see if the grunt of that Bentley pays dividends up into the braking zone of the NGK chicane. Not quite going to work there. Pajic able to cover off all of that just fine, and doesn't make a mistake himself either. It's so easy in that situation, even though the driver behind is never going to go for a move up into there. Sometimes you can spook yourself as the driver ahead into a mistake, brake a little bit too late, miss the apex, and all of a sudden here's the opportunity for the driver behind to try and get themselves through. So it's an art trying to overtake here, let's just say that. It's not trying to defend as well. Tim Yarshall and Alexander Dorneden going wheel to wheel down in towards turn 1 there. No change of position with regards to that though. Yarshall still remaining ahead of Dorneden for the moment. Of course, they don't want to fight too much, otherwise they'll drop off the back of the train somewhat. Of course, a little bit of separation in the train, which will mean that the front couple positions aren't available to them a little bit later on in the race. Let's have a look back towards the front of the field then, because it is Florian Hasse leading for Team Almady, from Ben Spunky Team Shmee, Michael Rachel Team Shmee, and Jack Geithley Team Shmee as well. So Team Shmee cars 1 through 4. Marco Pajic is the second highest placed Malmedy car there in 5th place, but the Malmedy machines looking to make some forward progress coming up towards the second half of this race now. This is a bit of crunch time for them as far as the point score is concerned here in race number 1. Of course, we've got the reverse grid a little bit later on to be concerned about as well, which is its own special kind of exciting. But of course, we'll have to temper our expectations for now as we head towards the halfway point of race number 1. And things have simmered down just a little bit here. I know the danger in saying that as a commentator, of course. As soon as you say things simmer down, all sorts of bonkers things happen. Maybe I can try and use that to the good here as we look at Ottaviani and Martin Barna. So it's going to be the Italian versus the Hungarian on the way through the final corner. Martin Barna just driving that car in, try and make up the difference. Unsuccessful so far as we ride on board with him on the way down in towards turn 1. So about 0.2 of a second behind at this point. You can't really go for the lunge if you're so inclined from this position, but it's so risky, which is why you see Barna just not deciding to even move to the inside to show the nose at all. He's just going to commit to his line, stay on the normal racing line, and bide his time, and maybe make a move like that a little bit later on if the situation requires it. Of course, he's looking for a mistake from the driver ahead. That would be the preferable option to try and get himself by, but a little bit of a scrappy turn 3 and 4 there will not result in any gains time for Martin Barna in that situation. Here we go then, into the final 9 minutes of this race. Got Tim Heinemann and Alessandro Ottaviani also potentially looking to battle for P13 out there as well. So again, they just have to be super careful about this. You have to be very careful about battling your teammate, especially when you have a member of the opposite team behind you. Barna just getting all sorts of out of shape there, coming through turn 11 and 12. Hasn't compromised his run at all, though, up towards NGK, so let's see if anything happens here down in towards the chicane. Looks like Ottaviani is having to go defensive. Here comes Martin Barna down the inside. The two Bentleys fighting on the apex of the corner. Whoa, Barna almost got crowded out on the inside there. He's not going to be too happy about that one. He keeps himself in the fight, though, and following as close as ever through the Coca-Cola curve now. Barna's not going to be very happy with the way he was treated up into there. Maybe Ottaviani gave him a little bit too much of a squeeze on the inside there, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing the absolute sends coming from Barna down in towards turn 1. Maybe he's a little bit more responsible than I am when it comes to the racing, as Barna now might have an opportunity down in towards, well, into turn 2 and 3. It was a very scrappy turn 1 for Ottaviani, struggling to get the traction down in the Bentley ahead, and oh, a little bit too much rotation there from Barna on the curb. We can try and get the good exit out of turn 4 now to make things happen down into 5. But it's a very unlikely overtaking position that you basically need to be alongside already coming out of turn 4 to be able to make anything happen down into there. 7 minutes, 20 seconds left remaining. We'll keep you up to date with regards to how the front of the field have been going. They've kind of all spread themselves out at this stage, so there's not really all that much to speak of there in that front pack, unless someone makes a mistake or someone goes for a complete lick the stamp and send it moment, which is certainly very possible here at the Nürburgring, but we haven't seen any of it just yet. That's why we're focusing on this battle a little bit deeper in the order between Ottaviani, Barna and Kunze. This is the 14th, 15th and 16th position battle. Further ahead though, maybe some signs of life, because Krippner is on the back of his teammate Xian now, and looking pretty quick at this stage. Bentley versus the Corvette. Xian has dropped off the back price a little bit here, so maybe it's time for a bit of a negotiated pass between the two teammates, as much as everyone hates team orders, I suppose. Let's try and give Team Almady the best chance of gaining a couple of more points over the course of this one. Xian going to go slightly defensive, though. He doesn't want his teammate to try and get past him just yet. Oh, who's that around? That's Marko Pejic. Marko Pejic has spun it through turn number 1. Rejoins the track, P12. Just ahead of Tim Heinemann there. What happened there to Marko Pejic? Unfortunately, here on the English stream, we do not have the capability to be able to give you a replay, but that is pretty significant for Team Malmedie now. That's a whole lot of positions lost there by Marko Pejic. So now the situation is, Florian Hasse leads, of course, that hasn't changed. Ben Sparky 2nd place, Marco Raschel 3rd place, Jack Keatley 4th place, Isaac Price in 5th place. So now it's Team Shmee 1 through 5. So at this point, stay looking a little bit better than what happened in race number 1 in particular at Spa-Francorchamps. Thankfully, Pejic looks like he's been able to get away without any damage there. I think that might have been just a simple spin through turn number 1 that time around. Pretty difficult to spin these cars, especially considering the traction controls. So It's a rare occurrence, but it does happen if you get all sorts of out of shape over a curb or some such. Christopher Högfeldt showing the nose behind. He's in P8 for the moment in the Corvette. Got Leonard Kripner ahead of him. Team Shmee continuing to look to try and maximise the point score here. Yes, they don't lead the race, but they've got a significant number of their cars inside of the top 10 and in pretty good positions inside the top 10 as well. 4 of the 5 cars inside the top 5 are those are blue Team Shmee machines. So that's looking pretty good. Very good for them at the moment. Let's have a look back. We've got Marko Pejic heading down on towards the pit lane. Looks like maybe there might have been a little bit of damage to the car of Marko Pejic there, bringing that car down and in. Of course, there's no scheduled stops here in these races, so there's no reason in particular any driver would want to come down on towards the pit lane apart from serving a penalty or maybe getting some a damage issue or just wanting to retire from the race. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one there as we head into final 4 minutes of this one. 4 minutes to go in race number 1. I do have to welcome everyone to the YouTube side of things. We do apologize that it took a bit of a while to get ourselves live on YouTube here today, but we were able to get that happen. Don't worry, just a little bit past the time, unfortunately. We hope you forgive us for that one, but we are live and racing here on the RaceRoom channel, of course, both on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And behind, we got our wonderful streamer, Jaroslav Honzik. Jardier looking on the back of Simone Pretri there in the Audi, and Jardier going down the inside at turn number 12. That was a bit of a forceful look to the inside, and well, Jaroslav has been able to get his way through. That was an intimidation overtake, if anything. You're just going for the absolute send there, and it ends up paying off for him. Of course, it has to be said that Prater kind of had the instant avoidance mode brain engaged there to make sure both cars survived that little altercation. So Jaroslav up into P17, just gaining those, well, maybe not extra points from Malmedie at the moment because he did pass his teammate, but getting some extra points in the Drivers' Championship. Prater looking on the brakes as well in towards turn 1. Doesn't quite have an overlap, looks for the up and under coming off the corner. Jardier is able to hold on to this one though through turn number 2. He has the tighter line. Prater looking to the inside now to try and get things done into turn 3, but that is going to be covered off and not possible for the Italian to work his way through just yet. Maybe a good lunge off of turn 4 might pay off. But we haven't really seen that many moves down into turn 5 over the course of this race, so understand the drivers remaining behind for the moment. Let's have a look a little bit further up the field though, because there is Alexander Dorneden and Adam Pinces. It's the Shmee Bentley versus the Malmedie Corvette. Through the Michael Schumacher S, as you can see the sparks flying as the cars bottom out on the circuit, coming through there, running as low to the ground as possible. Pinces about just over 0.3 of a second, towards 0.4 of a second behind now on the run through Hudson back. One of the closest battles out there on circuit though, so don't discount it. As we head into the chicane for the penultimate time here. Time will expire on the next lap, so this is how you know that this is going to be the final lap. There is no time expired plus 1 lap here in this series. It's just the lap when the time expires. That is the final lap. So next flag at the starter stand, or the race control stands, will be the checkered flag, as we see Alexander Dorneden pushing all the way to the pit wall, forcing Pinces to go the long way around into turn 1. Pinces committing there. Oh no! Spins it off the corner. Pinces hits the Armco barrier on the inside of the corner as well. Makes a bit of a mess of the rejoin too. And that is more points lost for Team Malmedie. Certainly points that they can't afford to lose. This race 1's looking fantastic for Team Shmee here. lots and lots of cars inside the top 10. Malmedie cars lead, but it's a sea of blue behind. Time has expired here at the Nürburgring for race number 1 of the REMUS GT3 Championship. Of course, this is event number 2, so technically you could say that's race number 3. But these guys have well held these positions pretty well since the start of the race. Here's the Team Shmee cars. It seems like the Team Malmedie cars have been the cars that have had all the problems with incidents and spins and some such. We saw Page a little bit earlier on have a spin into turn 1 as well. So 2 pretty high-scoring Team Malmedie cars towards, well, certainly not where they should be as far as a finishing result is concerned. But the guy at the front of the field, though, 2.5 seconds faster, well, 2.5 seconds ahead of Ben Spanky at the moment. That is not too shabby at all for Florian Hasse. He makes what is a horrible race for Team Malmedie at least a little bit worthwhile as he heads his way through the final corner. Florian Hasse will win race number 1 here at the Nürburgring in the REMUS GT3 Championship on RaceRoom. Malmedie wins, but it's Team Smee gaining a whole bunch of points. P2, 3, 4, 5. And then, of course, you have to look back to P8 for Högfeld, P9 for Yarshall, P10 for Dorneden, P11 for Team Heinemann. And there are just only a handful of cars from Team Almady at the very front of the field here to end. Of course, a little bit of a fight between the 2 teammates here. This is Jaroslav Honzik and Simone Pretri who were on board with Pretri as he headed his way across the line. But that was a horrible, horrible, horrible time for the Team Malmedie cars. Of course, the benefit, though, of having a horrible time in race number 1 is that you put your cars in the best position when it comes to race number 2, because you get yourself better positions as far as the full reverse grid is concerned. So maybe Team Malmedy looking to race 2 to try and get themselves, well, their points lead extended, as they were leading coming out of Spa for event number 1 of the championship. Everyone looks like they've headed their way across the line for the moment. There's Lucas Muller just limping his way through turn number 1. Here's a recap of the results then. Of course, unofficial. Of course, the stewards do have to have a look at these at the end of the event and make any adjustments as required. But Florian Hasse wins race number 1 with Ben Spanky P2, Michael Rushell P3, Jack Keithley P4, Isaac Price P5, Chian Kripner, Högfeld, Riashel, Dorneden rounds out the top 10 cars. We've got ourselves Tim Heinemann, Barna, Ottaviani, Pinces, Vermeulen, Wittfoot, Honzik, Pretri, Pfeiffer, and Gune rounding out the top 20. And then you can see the rest of the runners that cycle their way through on the very bottom of your screen. You see Page dropping all the way back to P28. That was one of the cars running inside the top 5 for Team Malmedy a little bit earlier on. So, while we get ourselves sorted and ready, of course, for race number 2, we can just have a little bit of a chat, shall we, about how fantastic that race was, especially in the early portions of that one. We'll get ourselves the proper entry list up once again. Of course, I won't be able to get you any updated points at this stage. Of course, that will come after both events have been done and dusted here today. But yeah, that's a fantastic result, though, for Team Shmee here in this one. It was a great effort from all of those cars that are able to secure themselves inside those top 10 positions. It's not easy. Let's just say that. It's not easy, especially considering the amount of talent that's on display here in these races. Again, like I said at the very start of the show, it's basically the who's who as far as RaceRoom esports competition is concerned with the names that we see out there. But for the moment, we're looking pretty good here heading into race 2. Of course, to have a little bit of a recap of the situation as far as the basically the format is concerned. Of course, we had that 20-minute race. Well, has just finished, and then we get ourselves another race of 20 minutes looking to try and get the reverse grid going. So the driver that finished last in race 1 will finish on pole position. Well, the start on pole position in race 2. I bet they're wishing they'd finish in the race lead for race 2 as well, but that doesn't always become the case, especially with regards to full reverse grid races. So we'll get ourselves just over 5 minutes before we get ourselves our gridding procedure underway for race number 2 of the REMUS GT3 Championship. Very thankful that everyone is able to join us, both on the YouTube stream and on the Facebook stream as well. It's great to see the support for the series and the support for the drivers as well. Of course, if you're wondering why we get some different names in these races sometimes, that there are 4 slots on each race that can be used to invite special guests, which is why we see, of course, James West involved. We saw, of course, Jaroslav Honzik involved as well. These guests are not eligible for the championship points, but they have their own point system. So there's kind of a guest driver championship as well. So technically, you can count 3 simultaneous championships going on at the same time. The main driver event, you have the teams, the Malmedie versus Shmee, and of course you have the guest driver point standings as well. So there's a lot to keep track of here. A lot of calculations need to be going on in the background. Of course, as always with GT3 events, or any time you have different manufacturers, different models of cars involved, all in the same race in the same class, there is a certain amount of balanced performance that needs to be done here, and that is certainly the case here today as well in the REMUS GT3 Championship. Of course, there's always a bit of a point of contention from the drivers. Some drivers saying the balance performance says it unfavors their car more than others, and some drivers saying it unfavors their car more than others. It's the typical bop shenanigans that you see in the real world as well. Just to go over what the balance performance has been set like for this race at the Nürburgring, we have the Porsche with 1% less horsepower. The Mercedes AMG has had no changes, so that is box standard. The Bentley has had a 2 horsepower reduction. The Corvette C7R has had a 5 kilogram weight penalty plus 1 horsepower taking off as well. The BMW M6 has had no changes. That's stock as it rolled off the factory floor. And we got ourselves 1 horsepower, 1% off of the Audi's horsepower as well. So a couple of bits of power reduction here and there. Of course, the Bentley, that's kind of understandable that it'll get minus 2% horsepower here in this one. It is one of, if not the strongest car as far as straight line performance is concerned. So it's only right that will be reeled in a little bit for racing mode, just a little bit, just to make it a bit fair between all of the cars involved. You see Christopher Högfeldt, I'll give that a 7 out of 10. The drift, if he kept himself within the track limits, it would have been a little bit better as far as I'm concerned. But then again, I'm not a drifting event judge, shall we say. 2 minutes left to go then in the warm-up session before we get the grid for race number 2. Just to recap, we'll have a full reverse grid for race 2. So it can be a little bit chaotic sometimes, these race 2s with reverse grids. Of course, you have the slowest drivers starting in the highest positions, which causes, well, the drivers behind that are very, very quick to have the need, or feel the need, to try and get through as quickly as is possible. Hence, they take more risks. So that's why we see a few chaotic moments sometimes in reverse grid races just like this one. Just to remind you, it is also, again, another 20-minute event, 20 minutes race, this race race number 2. So not too different from race number 1, except the grid is turned on its head. Usually, we would see a little bit extra time added to race 2 if it involves a reverse grid, just to give the chance for the drivers that got well, quote-unquote punished by the reverse grid to have more time to get themselves through the field. But not so here in this series. Both races are the same length despite the reverse grid. This is going to be Team Malmedie's opportunity now to try and recover some points from this round, because they got completely battered and bruised by Team Shmee in the race number 1. A recovery looking to be made in race 2. Of course, once we're done here at the Nürburgring, we'll have to look forward to a couple of weeks' time, because we head to the Red Bull Ring. Then we head to Road America, Bathurst, and Macau to finish off the season. Yeah, Macau. Go figure. It's it's an interesting track. Is that one? I did describe its track blocking tendencies at the top of the show. So hopefully we don't get any of that in this series. We're still a long way off that though. 14th of December. That final round is going to be planned to take place. So the gridding is underway for race number 2. My name is Connery Maddock. I've been your English commentator for today. Of course, we do have, if you understand German and you prefer to listen in German, then of course we have the German stream over on the REMUS channel. So it's the English stream here on RaceRoom, and it is the German stream on the REMUS YouTube channel. So if you understand Deutsch, then go and head on over. But if you don't, well, I'm very thankful to have you. 20 seconds left on the gridding procedure. Reverse grid race here in the REMUS GT3 Championship about to get underway. You can see the front row lockout there from Team Malmedie. Maximilian Paul and Marco Pejic in the best seats in the house at the moment. Another 20-minute event in the REMUS GT3 Championship. Race number 2 at the Nürburgring. About to go green. It has gone green. And now this is the opportunity for Team Malmedie to recover points after race number 1. They have to get in order on the way down in towards turn number 1 first. Pejic leads down in towards turn number 1. Maximilian Paul in second place. Lucas Muller in third. He's going to fight with his teammate down in towards turn number 1. Manuel Rodriguez, the highest placed Team Shmee car, looking to make forward progress early on. He's challenging for P3 around the outside of Maximilian Paul there. Let's see if Rodriguez is able to get through. Here comes his teammate, Andres Santos, as well. Santos sending it down the inside of his teammate. Wheel to wheel through the Mercedes-Benz Arena for the first time. And this might not be done. Still on the way in towards turn number 5 now. Still wheel to wheel. Well, they're going to get single file now. There's a little bit of an incident towards the very back of the field there. Didn't quite see who was involved in that one. But either way, the front of the field, rather front half of the field, have gotten themselves away well. But you can see that Santos is already looking forward. He's looking to try and go around the outside of Maximilian. Paul goes for the up and under through Dunlop curve, looking to try and find the traction off the corner as well. They're going to be absolutely level on the way into the Michael Schumacher S here. Oh, this can get sketchy, but Maximilian Santos has been able to make it work. He puts that Team Shmee Porsche up into P3. Oh, a bit of a move behind, bit of a send behind. Rodriguez and Kunster trying to come together in the two Team Shmee cars there to try and get around Max Pfeiffer. You can see the desperation of these Team Shmee cars looking to try and get themselves through as fast as possible on these Team Malmedie cars. It seems like Shmee has had the upper hand as a team, as a whole team, over the course of race number 1, and looking to try and establish that in race number 2 as well. Miguel Costa, Max Pfeiffer looking to go wheel to wheel into the NGK chicane, and Costa's not happy about something there down in towards the chicane. Flash the lights. Here comes Leonardo Carten around the long way through that final corner. It's been an action-packed first lap here, and the battles continue on all the way down into turn 1. There's Julian Kunze and Manuel Rodriguez. They're going to go side by side between the two teammates. Pfeiffer looking to try and gain a couple of positions out of this one. There's been a big incident at the very back of the field there. I'm trying to scroll back to see exactly what happened there. Miguel Costa is taking the tow back to pit lane. Michael Rachel, I believe, is also involved in that one. Pretty much the entire final half of the field got themselves involved in that in some form or another. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get a replay here on the English stream. Not technically possible here for me. I am a single-person operation, but yeah, that's going to shake up the field there. in the mid-pack once again. It's another incident that's like we saw in race number 1, where it changes the order of the mid-pack somewhat, but we'll have to take our time and get ourselves a little bit of a breather here just to recap. So there is Marco Pejic and Lucas Müller. Two Team Malmedie cars lead their way around. The Porsche leading the Corvette. You go back to Andre Santos for the first Team Shmee car in P3. Maximilian Paul in P4. Julian Kunze P5. Max Pfeiffer P6. Rodriguez P7. Wittfurt P8. Carton in P9. And Dorneden will round out the top 10 cars. So after I've destroyed my voice here in the first couple of laps of race number 2, we continue on. There's a little bit of wheel-to-wheel between two teammates going on behind as well. There's Tim Yarshel and Alexander Dorneden. So Yarshel actually gaining that position over Dorneden through the Hatzenbach and up into NGK. So that's the situation there. Looking ahead, though, has Maximilian Paul got a poor run off of the NGK chicane? Yes, he has. Kunze tried to capitalize on that, but all that does is bring him back into the clutches of Max Pfeiffer here. Here's the onboard with Pfeiffer as they head their way across the start-finish line into turn 1. This might potentially be a bit of a mess down in towards turn number 1 here, side by side between the two teammates. The 3 wide behind with Kunze in the middle of all of it. Oh, they're all able to recover, though, as they'll take the fight to turn 2. Again, still 3 wide between all of them here. On the way into turn 3 now. Kunze has been able to get ahead of Rodriguez. Pfeiffer is involved in the thick of things as well. He looks to try and gain a whole bunch out of this one. It's a whole bunch of confusion for the first sector for the first time. Rodriguez with a liberal definition of the track limits as they all try to find their way through on Maximilian Paul there. Pfeiffer's been able to get away with this. Who's that gone around in the background? Seems like it is Tim Yarshel. Tim Yarshel has spun and has lost a whole bunch of positions. I thought that whole situation was going to end in tears at some point, and they're still at it, by the way. Carton and Wittfurt trying to go wheel-to-wheel through the Dunlop hairpin, and now climbing the hill through the Schumacher S. They finally get themselves single file, but what was that entire situation between all of them? That was absolutely crazy. They still may not be done, mind you, because these guys... oh, look at Carton. He's basically trying to push Wittfurt off the track on the way through turn 12 there. That's certainly not, good racecraft, I would suppose, but Carton looking to try and find a way through towards NGK now, looking to go late on the brakes on the Porsche, leaned on him through the inches of the corner. Around the outside comes the inside for the second part of the chicane for Carton, and Carton looks like he's been able to get his way through half a car length ahead through the Coca-Cola curve. Wittfurt and Dorneden in behind, looking to try and find presumably some way through on this one. It is so confusing. But across the pit straight we go. Lots of drivers heading towards the pit wall to try and defend their positions. We're going to see 3 wide again here on the way into turn number 1. These guys don't know when to quit. Dorneden's gains the position over Carton. Carton now under threat from Högfeldt as well. Wittfurt in behind, trying to make some progress. Wittfurt, no, that is, who's that spun around? That is Martin Barna. Barna's gone around here. Carton's gone around too. He was the initial instigator of that one. Many instance of Team Malmedie cars at the start of race number 2, and that plays into the hands of Team Shmee now. They've got themselves a good complement of cars inside, or rather near the top 10 again. This is, well, now I'll get myself an opportunity to calm down a little bit. My word, that was basically the craziest 6 or 7 minutes of racing I've commentated on RaceRoom. Fantastic stuff between everyone involved. Now Dorneden getting close to the back of Maximilian Paul now. So Maximilian Paul will have a very tough job ahead of him to try and keep all of these Team Shmee cars behind and to make sure the points loss isn't too bad for Team Almady. Down the hill they come, back up it towards NGK. Dorneden looking for a move now, looking to go late on the brakes in the Bentley. Oh, bit of contact between the two as that Maximilian Paul forced wide through the corner. believe it was. If there was contact, the stewards might have a look at that one. Maximilian Paul now looking to try and keep as many cars behind him as possible. He's going to be the roadblock here for Team Malmedie to prevent Team Shmee getting these points. As Högfeld looking to all the way to the pit wall now. He's got himself through. It was a bad run off the final corner for Maximilian Paul. He loses the position now to Jack Keithley as well. Now he's trying to weave all across the track to try and defend these positions. That is way more than one move on the brakes in towards turn number 1. That's not exactly ideal as Team Shmee try to swarm the stricken Team Malmedie car, gaining all of these points. Of course, Maximilian Paul does have the support from Jardier here. They're running too wide just to prevent all those cars behind from trying to get through on them. But Jaroslav Honzik, Jardier gets himself through the first sector, and now Vitvoet and Banki, they're wanting the piece of the pie as well. Banki hasn't quite got the overlap on Maximilian Paul there. This is what reverse grid racing can do, everyone. It can cause absolute chaos like this, and I'm certainly living for it. Ben Spanky through on Maximilian Paul, perhaps down in towards Dunlop. No commitment around the outside, looking underneath. This is the move of choice through Dunlop, as long as you keep the speed off the corner, and that's a fantastic pass there from Ben Spanky, expertly done with the up and under through Dunlop. Now he'll try and break away, and now it is up to the driver of Ottaviani to try and get himself through. Bit of contact as Ottaviani has to try and correct to keep the car pointed in the right direction, not be spat out into the runoff as well. He's fighting in behind as well. You can see that in the rear view and the rear view mirror and the rear view screen as well. Everything is such high pressure here in the mid-pack. Florian Hasser is that Team Malmedie car behind as Ottaviani looks to angle for a move, but it's a move being made behind instead. As Vitvoet looking to the inside on Florian Hasser at this stage in the race. It's been no non-stop action in race number 2. Around the outside goes Vitvoet, at least with the attempts here on the way down in towards turn number 1. It looks like we had a swap actually for race lead as well. So Lucas Müller got himself past Marko Pejic. So that's a swap between the Team Malmedie teammates at the very front of the field. But the mid-pack is as chaotic as ever. There's an absolute send in the background, by the way, by Adam Pinces. Oh my word, was that like 2 or 3 positions in one go there? That was absolutely crazy. No, it's another Malmedie car spun, 3rd time in the event. Oh, and he spins in front of traffic as well. Maximilian Paul, he was doing as best as he could at the very front of the field to try and keep all those Team Shmee cars behind him. But in the end, it ends with him pointing in the wrong direction out of turn 1. Believe it or not, we've got over half the race done. I don't know which way you look at this. Oh, someone's off. Someone's off in the background. Didn't quite see who it was. Was it Axel Vermeulen or Tim Heinemann? It was Tim Heinemann. Tim Heinemann having a problem coming out of the forward curve there. Loses a handful of positions, 2 cars behind. Here we go then, once more with the battle. Florian Hasser, Luciano Vitvoet through the left. Vitvoet still unsuccessful in trying to squeeze his way through for the moment, and he's got Pinces behind him, who, as we saw a little bit earlier on in the race, is a fan of going for the late move on the brakes into turn 1. Vitvoet trying to make a move in turn GK over Florian Hasser, looking to go as deep on the brakes as he can. Just can't quite get himself alongside, no. At this stage in the race, we have got about 8 minutes left to go. Battle ahead, 2 teammates, Högfeld and Dorleden. Högfeld squeezing his way through, expertly done down in towards turn number 1. Here's Jardier and Ben Spanky, by the way. This is an interesting fight. Of course, Streamer versus one of the best drivers on RaceRoom on the way through the final couple of corners of the Mercedes-Benz Arena as Jardier trying to hang it out around the outside. Doesn't quite get the speed off the corner required, but it's certainly still a very good effort against someone so quick in RaceRoom Esports. let's have a look at the state of the race then, because yes, you do have two Team Almady cars that have been able to break away from everyone else behind, but just because of the absolute chaos that's been going on behind, being completely honest. So those guys have been able to get away, but just look at this. Santos, Team Shmee. There's another Team Almady car, Max Pfeiffer, so it's 1, 2, and 4 for Team Almady. But look at everyone behind. Julian Kunster, Team Shmee. Rodriguez is Team Shmee. Högfeld, Team Shmee. Dornaden, Team Shmee. Keithley, Team Shmee. Ben Spanky in Team Shmee. And then you have to look all the way back to Jaroslav Honzik. Jardier, the guest driver, to find the next Team Shmee car after the P1, 2, and 4. So this race 2 couldn't have gone any better right now for Team Shmee. Gaining a whole bunch of points in both races here today will set themselves up very well heading into round number 3 at the Red Bull Ring in a handful of weeks' time. Of course, can't say it's done just yet. Still, lots of things can happen in the remaining 6 minutes of this one. Behind Yarshel, squeezing through on Vitvote, but Vitvote gets the up and under, and who's spun behind? That is the driver of Leonard Krippner. So the day just goes from bad to worse for Team Malmedie. It's one to forget for that team, I think, in this situation. Despite being on for both race wins, it seems like the point swing is still going to go in the favour of Team Shmee at the end of this one. So, yeah, it's the team racing does be like that sometimes. You see Jack Keithley just getting through on Dornaden there. Dornaden not really wanting to fight that one too much and just lets Keithley through on his merry way. It seems like Team Shmee are just working more as a cohesive unit here in this one, rather than Team Almady, who are all spread out doing their own thing, trying to fight amongst each other sometimes as well, trying to fight wheel to wheel, and not giving up the position to their faster teammates. That's kind of what has caught them out here in the 2 races today, especially in this second one, with all of that battling in the mid-pack. Should have done with calming things down just that little bit more. Of course, there's an element of the Team Shmee cars being, faster in qualifying, faster in race 1, and they would look to try and get themselves through as early as possible in race 2. So that's what contributed to some of the action going on in the mid-pack earlier. But in the end, it is Team Shmee that comes out on top as far as points are concerned. Of course, Almady can be very happy about P1, P2 at the moment. And they might even get a car up into P3 as well. There we go. Max Pfeiffer going down the inside of Andre Santos, but Santos is able to respond, though, coming off the corner. Still hasn't quite got clear. He has now on the exit of turn 2. And through he goes. Yet more action going on in the background. Florian Hasse trying to recover some points. Team Malmedie as Ottaviani struggling ahead of him. A little bit of a snap of oversteer coming off of turn 3. Down the inside of turn 4 goes Hasse. Doesn't quite have the overlap required to be able to do that. We are getting into the very late stages of the race now. Not too long to go before we get the checkered flag out there. We break the calculators out, and the race administrators can sort out any pending penalties that need to be applied. Here's the battle that might become interesting, though, for the end of the race. We've seen round number 1 of it already between Santos and Max Pfeiffer, but still sticking close together. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a last-ditch move here from Pfeiffer. We are getting towards the 3 minutes to go mark here today. 3 minutes to go, and here comes Max Pfeiffer on Andre Santos, looking to get P3 away. A 1-2-3 for Team Malmedie would be a decent recovery. Oh, gotta be careful with turning in like that, Pfeiffer. He forces Santos up onto the curb there. Santos is going to be absolutely livid with that. Look how he drives it into the final corner there. Certainly not a happy chappy whatsoever. And now he can ride on board with Andre Santos on the way down into turn 1 here. course, they'll get another couple of laps here to be able to sort out their differences. Santos, look at that. He's not having any of it. He goes for the send in towards turn 1. Pfeiffer looking for the up and under. He's squarely on the throttle through the corner as Santos looks to the inside through turn 3. He should be able to get this one done, and he has. Max Pfeiffer struggling with oversteer in that Mercedes. He'll still have an attempt though in through turn 4, almost making contact with the back of the Porsche ahead of him. But that is Santos back through. He's not one to stand by when he thinks he's been done wrong by, well, someone's done him wrong. He goes for the send into turn 1 and gets it done as well, which is not an easy task whatsoever. You can be deceived into thinking a pass into turn 1 is easy. But if you do send it down the inside there, you have to make sure you have the momentum coming off the corner to fend off the response into turn 2. And if you can get clear by the entry of turn 2, even better. But if you don't complete the move that quickly on the inside, then potentially you'll be stuck on the outside for turn 2 and turn 3. And if that car has grip on, if your opponent has grip on the inside and is able to maintain their line throughout and maintain the momentum, then you're basically going to be left out to dry. 1 minute to go then in race number 2 of the REMUS GT3 Championship here on RaceRoom. My name is Conry Maddock. I've been your English commentator, and these guys have been your fighters. Andre Santos and Max Pfeiffer still squabbling over this third spot, and all this squabbling is actually bringing Julian Kunze back into the picture. Another Team Shmee car that can really take the pressure off of Santos here by applying pressure to the back of Max Pfeiffer. 30 seconds left to go, heading their way across the line now. Is there going to be a send from Pfeiffer on the brakes into the heaviest braking zone on the lap? Yes, there is. Big move from Pfeiffer down the inside. Santos up and under. He gets the momentum off the corner and is clear. That's how you defend a move down in towards turn number 1. Let the driver on the inside overcommit. You slip through underneath. Fantastic stuff for Santos. Kunze behind, looking to put a nail in Malmedie's coffin here if he can get past P4. Timer has expired, of course. These guys getting oh so close. There's the very front of the field, by the way. Lucas Müller and Marco Pejic. They haven't really had all that much to do over the course of this event. It's been a very quiet affair for those guys at the very front. They were able to break away ahead of all the carnage that was going on behind them. But everything is still unresolved for P3 here in race 2. Santos versus Pfeiffer. Smee versus Malmedie, Porsche versus Mercedes on the way in towards the final sector of the lap. Pfeiffer gets himself a good run off the top of the S's. Now through turn number 11, doesn't get it done. Through turn number 12 here in a couple of moments. Oh, he's getting pressure from behind as well. There's the very front of the field, by the way. There is Lucas Müller. There is Marco Pejic looking to try and get themselves P1, P2, 1-2 finish for Almady. Lucas Müller looking to come through the final corner. He will win race number 2 here at the Nürburgring. Who comes third though? Andre Santos looks like he's been able to hold on. Max Pfeiffer in 4th place. Julian Kunze will remain in 5th place here, coming across the line. It's not enough of a straight down towards the start-finish line for Pfeiffer to do anything. Santos holds on to P2, Max Pfeiffer P4, with Julian Kunze in P5 here today. Looking back through the order to see any unsolved battles, of course, we had Pincers and Hasse for P13, 14, Rachel and Wittvoet P15, 16 back there. But what a crazy race 2 that we've had here. We've had battling throughout. There wasn't a lazy or uninteresting moment throughout that entire event. Here's the unofficial race results, of course, from race number 2. Lucas Müller wins from Marco Pejic, 1-2 for Malmedy. Then you get the Smee car of Andre Santos, then Malmedy car of Max Pfeiffer. Then you get a huge gaggle of Team Smee cars inside the top 10. Julian Kunze, Christopher Högfeldt, Jack Keithley, Manuel Rodriguez, Dornaden, Banki, everyone like that. And, well, we'll get ourselves all sorted in terms of that one. But Oh my word, that was a bit of a crazy event here today. Of course, it was a much better day for Team Smee than it was for Team Malmedie. I think that one, I'm pretty confident in saying. But we are still in the very early stages of the season, everyone. We had the season opener at Spa-Francorchamps, where Team Almady were able to come out ahead. But event number 2 at the Nürburgring, I feel, goes Team Shmee's way. We certainly have a season on here in the REMUS GT3 Championship, and I can't wait for those future rounds. In a couple of weeks' time, we get ourselves the the Red Bull Ring, excuse me, on the 9th of November. Then we head to Road America, then to Bathurst, and then to Macau for our finale at the very start of December. But with that, unfortunately, I will have to say goodbye. Thank you very much, everyone, for being able to join us over the course of this event. It's been 2 absolutely fantastic races. Thank you very much for tuning in on the RaceRoom YouTube channel and the RaceRoom Facebook page as well. Hello, everyone out there. Thank you very much for your support. My name has been Connery Maddock, and I will join you in a couple of weeks' time for another one of these events, this time in Spielberg, Austria. Bye-bye.